in front of you with equity outlook, November was extremely choppy. And there were reasons for that, am I right? Because US presidential election, who will win? We saw Adani episode coming in. We were having Maharashtra and Jharkhand assembly election outcome. And there were a lot of news flow otherwise also in terms of GDP numbers coming in, which really been quite below the expectation. So, and of course, the market was also, looking at the geopolitical situation where Israel and Hezbollah decided to have a truce kind of stuff. So yes, there were a lot of events that took place. And of course, how should we look at the future? So I'm going to discuss everything in today's webinar, and of course, post my presentation, we will have a question answer. So let's just go through the disclaimer that we have, that this webinar is just to enhance your understanding about the equity market. Please consult your financial advisor before buying or selling any stock. Past performance is no indicator of future returns, and investment in securities market are subject to market risk. If you look at volatility, कौन जीतेगा यूएस प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन? Adani stocks had a very tough time because the news came from US. Assembly election कौन जीतेगा? If you look at again exit poll went haywire, and some sense prevailing between Israel and that's due to that market almost closed at the same level what it was there in the month of October. Small cap did better performance compared to mid and large cap, but really not so much. FPI, they sold in the month of October heavily. They sold in the month of November. The only solace that we can take, the quantum of outflow was much less than what it was there in the month of October. But 2 months in a row, they sold. And of course, what should we expect in the month of December? I'm going to cover that also. 6 months in a row, the NSE cash volume is declining. June we saw, because of election, very substantial. And if you remember last week when I did some presentation on data, on the election result day of Maharashtra and Jharkhand, again, cash volume surge more than almost 2 lakh crore. And due to that, slightly above 1 lakh crore volume has been there. The way volume is coming down clearly shows the participation from the investors is on a decline. So mota, for your information, the retail investors constituted the biggest chunk of the cash volume, followed by the prop books. If you think it's institutional investors, which signifies the answer is wrong. That's not the way. More than 50% of the volume being generated by retail investors and the prop books in the cash volume segment, which clearly shows that some amount of cautiousness, some amount of fatigue is keep creeping in with the investors and prop books. The best performing sector was IT, and the worst performing has been the energy for the month of November. And after 2 months in a row where we saw in month of September and October advance decline ratio less than 1, November it managed to cross above 1.1, and this one. Despite the volatility, it managed to close above 1. Adani Group, severe volatility. And when I present data about the gainers and losers for the month of November, you will get an idea how much Adani lost. They lost something, they recovered something, but yet for the month of November, it was quite negative. That's on the Indian market. Let's move to the economy front. Fortunately, net direct tax collection has been quite robust, 15.4%. And one of the reasons why it is so good because of capital gain made by the investors. My worry is now, if the market has been a little volatile, how many investors would have been able to book profit and so on and so forth? I think this number can come down. That's just because, and of course, we have seen the GDP numbers also coming down. So it's also a function of what happens to the direct tax. Retail inflation inched to 6.2% in October. And if you look at India and the US, in the US, the inflation is quite subdued. In India, the inflation is moving up. In the US, the rate of interest are coming down. In India, the rate of interest are not coming down. In the US, economy is moving up. In India, economy is coming down. So there is a completely contrast kind of a situation. There is one more thing which is happening in the world, and there are complete diversion of what's happening in the economy. You look at Germany, struggling to grow. Forget about Germany, if you look at the euro area, struggling to grow. China, struggling to grow. US, very robust growth. So that kind of a divergence we are seeing. So that means the world economy is not moving in unison. And that's exactly what is happening. India's GDP growth moved down to 5.2% in Q2. That is July to September. It was 6.7% in the first quarter, April to June. This is despite slowdown because of heat waves. This is despite general election. So need to understand the context in which these numbers are there. If you go back and listen to the commentary given by each and every corporate for the April to June numbers, they did mention about because of heat waves, consumption took a beating. People did not move out of their house. People did not want to move from one place to another place because of heat waves. And at the same time, election also reduced the activity. There was no such activity. There was no such event as such. And yet numbers came down to 5.4%. S&P revised the GDP for India. And of course, they revised this GDP not before this number came down, which was 5.4. They maintained for FY 2025 GDP, but reduced by 20 bips for FY 2026 and FY 2027. And post this 5.4% coming in, many other economies also revised India's GDP for FY 2025. Fortunately, no one is expecting less than 6% for FY 2025. That's a very good thing. Despite slowdown, India would be among the fastest growing economies in the world. Large economy. November GST collection stood at 1.82 lakh crore. Now, if you ask me very frankly, the GST that you paid in November, which you collected in month of October, which was a set festive season for India, and that numbers is up by 8.5% Y on Y, but decline as compared to month on month. If you ask me very frankly, it should have been better number. Why? Because we had a festive sales happening in the month of October. Again, I repeat, the money that you paid to GST in the month of November is the money that you charge in the month of October. You pay next month, isn't it? And that's how it works. So I was a little surprised with the numbers. On one hand, we have a stubborn inflation. On other hand, we have a slowing economy. How do we marry these two numbers? Because logically, what should happen? Economy needs some amount of support. Finance Minister as well as the Minister Goel both requested RBI to do rate cut. I'm not very sure that will be accepted. Or even I don't know, as I speak to you, I don't have a clarity whether RBI governor got an extension or not. In case if it is not, this would be his last monetary policy. And the way RBI has gone off the mark in terms of GDP prediction for FY 2025, they were predicting 7.2%. Nowhere we are going to say 7.2% now. Why? Because the first quarter we saw the GDP number at 6.7. Second quarter we saw 5.4. No way India can have 7. So I think RBI prediction on GDP growth is going to go quite off the mark. I'll come to whether we should expect rate cut on Friday or not from RBI. I'll come to that. On the assembly election front, Maharashtra was won by BJP alliance. Jharkhand was won by the India alliance. So 50-50 ho gaya. Market did react positive post-election numbers coming in, and we, as we discussed in the beginning of this webinar, the volume also surged. A lot of people are asking me about rupee weakening. Of course, rupee is weakening. But when you look at the rupee in last 1 year, how much rupee is weakened? 1.8%. So normally Indian rupee used to depreciate by 4 to 5%, 5 to 6% kind of a stuff. Despite volatility, rupee is not depreciated at cost. It has depreciated. It's touched all-time low. Is it a cause of concern? The answer is no. There's one more thing which I'll come and discuss about it a little later about RBI also need to ensure we don't say face a lot of pressure on the rupee. Now it's a very dynamic situation we are going to live into. Why? If Trump is going to go ahead with the tariff hike, and which I'll again cover in my subsequent slides, there is a possibility that other emerging markets start reducing their rates. And that could also impact India's competitiveness in the world market. So there are various factors right now at play, and one doesn't know what factor you should give more weightage and what factor you should give less weightage kind of stuff. Let's switch from Indian economy to the US. Donald Trump had a very, very powerful victory. Of course, he has not become a president yet. He will assume the charge on 28th January 2024. So it's almost near about 40-45 days still away from this. But Trump coming back, we saw risk-on strategy coming back. There are two things which happen in the world market once Trump emerged as a winner. The risk-on strategy coming in the sense a lot of money again started moving to the US. Cryptocurrency almost touched that. Bitcoins touch $1 lakh. Today I think it was 95,000 something kind of, but moved very handsomely. Trump also threatened to put 25% tariff on goods coming from Mexico and Canada. And whatever the tariffs are there on Chinese product, additional 10. Remember, this is just an announcement. It has not become a rule. Because Trump cannot make any rule right now. He's still not the president of US. But that's just an announcement. Whether he walked the talk, not walked the talk, and so on the phone, we will need to wait and watch. But do expect more kind of announcement before he assumes the office on 20th Jan. So we do expect more kind of announcement coming in the month of December from the Trump. Global economy, I think one thing which is really impacting, and that's crude oil price. The crude oil price is a real good barometer of what's happening in the demand side. Now someone would argue EV is also the one factor which could reduce the demand, am I right? But I think still today, the economic activity, if you really wish to understand what's happening in the world, the crude oil price is a good indicator. Despite geopolitical tension, crude has remained very, very subdued. In the past, we discussed in our webinars also OPEC Plus. They wanted to do production hike. They kept on deferring it time and again. Purely because there is no demand there. The prices are so subdued, why would they basically increase the production? Again, they will meet on 5th December, which is 2 days from now. Do not expect production hike. They will further defer it. That's what's going to happen. Another, everyone thought China will come out with the stimulus package. China will do well. Metal prices went up. Indian market, we saw outflow from this FPI and so on and so forth. Absolutely disaster for the US and this in China. Because what happened, it did not lift the sentiment. I think more needs to be done, and we have said time and again, China needs surgery, not band-aid. In somewhere, the decision makers in the Chinese economy are doing more of a band-aid work. I think they need to really think through and see holistic way, how can they revive Chinese economy? And what they are doing at this point of time, I think is a little struggle to do that. We do expect China to come out with more fiscal stimulus. How it comes, when it comes, we need to wait and watch. European economy is struggling. Let's be very honest with you. Eurozone is at 10-month low in terms of business activity, both manufacturing as well as services. If that was not enough, the inflation went up to 2.3%. On 12th December, which is 10 days from now or 9 days from now, ECB is going to meet, and most probably they will do a rate cuts, most probably. Let's wait and watch what happens. But I think one weak spot, there are two weak spots basically right now. Global economy has to go through that. The Euro zone and the China. In India, I'll show you some data. The 4th quarter in a row, India's GDP has declined. I'll show you the data so you can relate to that. And if you look at the Ministry of Finance coming out with economic outlook, RBI outlook and so on. So I think they are cautiously optimistic on the Indian economy. That's the word. Cautiously deserves some amount of a weightage there. After so much negotiation, the ceasefire agreement has been reached between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Let's look at the numbers very quickly. Advanced decline ratio 2 months in a row, less than 1, marginally moved to 1.1. So that's a good sign. Market cap decline. Despite market demand, this one 446 lakh crore came down to 445 lakh crore. If you look in the month of September, it was 775 lakh crore. That means we lost near about 30 lakh crore in 2 months. And again, we gone back to somewhere about June level or so in terms of the market cap. So whatever we made reported gain is almost given back that gain by the market despite new listings and so on and so forth. Turnover 1.52 lakh crore in the month of June came down to 1.39 in the month of July. Further came down to 1.25 lakh crore in the August. Further came down to 1.21 lakh crore in September. October 1.06 and November barely managed to cross 1 lakh crore. The way things looks like, I would not be surprised in the month of December we'll breach that 1 lakh crore also. 6 months in a row, average cash turnover is down to 1 lakh crore, constantly declining. I think that clearly shows the level of participation. But if you look at year on year, it was only 70,000 crore, which increased to 1 lakh crore. So I think that's what has happened with this one. Indices, IT did extremely well. Realty index done extremely well, 2.06. When I say extremely well, relative to the market. Sensex and small cap and this one almost at the same level. Nifty was down by 0.31, mainly because of Adani. Well, Adani is not there in Sensex, it's there in Nifty50. Energy was down, commodity was down, metal was down purely because of China's stimulus package did not live up to the expectation. And what is surprising, pharma is also down by 2.18%. PSU Bank was up by 1.32%, but if you look at the CPC index, it was down by 1.1%. Nifty50 best stocks, M&M. And what has really surprised, look at this, the anomaly in the sense, M&A was up by 8.77, that's the best. You look at Bajaj Auto in the worst, down by 8.2%. Bharat Electronics did extremely well, 8.1. But look at this IT company, TCS, Tech Mahindra, Infosys, Wipro, HCL Technology, they did extremely well in the month of November. HDFC Bank, for a change, features in the best performing company, up by 3.5%. Who are the losers? Adani Enterprise, down by 16.4% in the month of November. Asian Paints, again consumption driven, down by 15.5%. Britannia, again consumption, down by 14.4%. And of course, HDFC Life, SBI Life and Coal India, they are all down in this. This despite the fact that Government of India planning to increase the FDI in insurance to 100%. But there were news that came out that bank insurance cannot be the only source for the insurance company. There could be a cap that did impact HDFC Life and SBI Life in terms of the performance. But consumption theme definitely seems to be losing somewhere. FPI, as we discussed, 2 months in a row, 94,000 crore came down to 21,000 crore in the month of November. What I've really observed that historically, when you look at it, after 2 consecutive months of selling, normally FPI turned positive. So my sense is that FPI will turn positive in the month of December. That's what. The DII, after pumping in 1.07 lakh crore, they pumped in only 45,000 crore in the month of November. So they have seen some amount of slowdown in terms of pumping in money in the month of November. Indian market, little struggle to close in the green, but if you look at the US market, they did extremely well. Dow Jones up by 8%, S&P 500 by 5%, and Nasdaq up by 5%. What has again surprised me is that Dow did better as compared to Nasdaq. Normally, we have been seeing that Nasdaq does better than the Dow Jones. In India, IT companies did better as compared to the non-IT companies. GDP, which I was saying, 8.6 came down to 7.8, further came down to 6.7, it came down to 5.4. Of course, you can't compare GDP this way, but I thought let me give you the trajectory. I think it has been struggling kind of stuff. So I think we need some measures coming in from the fiscal as well as the monetary to lift the GDP activity. We don't expect very good substantial jump for the December quarter too. GST, which is a good indicator of what's happening in the economy, while it's up by 8.5% Y-on-Y, but if you look at month on month, it came down from 1.87 lakh crore to 1.82 lakh crore. So it's came down a little bit, very similar to what we reported in the month of July. How is historically the month has been for in the month of December? It's almost 50-50. What has really surprised me is that whenever the Sensex has done well, like in December 2020 or December 2023, which is last year, they jump very substantially. And when they decline also in 2 occasions, 4% almost, that's the thing. So that's a kind of, my sense is that December should remain a little subdued only, purely because of the data flow. Fed is going to again meet on 18 December. Do expect rate cut from this one, and mostly that could be the last rate cut that we can expect in the near future from the Fed. We discuss about one more rate cut from December 18 FOMC meeting, but RBI is unlikely to do rate cut despite economy slowing down. Why? Because the inflation is quite stubborn. If at all there is a rate cut, I think we should expect only post-budget. That is first Feb is a budget day, so we should expect post that only. We don't know whether Shaktikanta Das will, in fact, the announcement has come by now. I am not updated on that. But do expect some sort of CRR adjustment that can come on the 6th December when the RBI is going to meet. That's on the Friday. My sense is that FPI selling is done. Do expect positive inflow coming from the FPI in the month of December. That should give some support to the market sentiment. There are a couple of things I think we should all watch very closely. December numbers will start coming out in next 35-40 days. Market is definitely going to look at the commentary coming from the India Inc. If that commentary somehow is not so robust, it would put pressure on the finance minister to put more reforms, more measures to lift the economic activity. It would also put more pressure on RBI to go for the aggressive rate cut, because then you can't, because India can't afford to have a low growth and high inflation. One good thing which has happened in the month of November, that government has gone on the record saying that the amount of money that they've spent on capex, which was kept at 11.11 lakh crore in the budget, that money has not been spent as much, has started picking up, and they want to spend that money, they want to fully utilize. Of course, 100% will not get utilized in this financial year, but even if they are able to utilize 95% of that, that's a very good thing to happen. So that's what's going to happen, that's what my sense is. So I think we will wait and watch what will happen. And of course, we all know that there's a lot of hope is there on the marriage season, and marriages are there in plenty in the month of now, which happen in the month of November and also in the month of December. Is it able to lift the sentiment or not? I think it's very, very critical for us to get that handle on that. So let's wait and watch on that front. With this, I've done with my presentation. Let's open the floor for question answer. Frank, IG tech companies are worth buying even if the stock prices slump, a leading observer says. That's according to Ashwath Damona, the New York University Stern School of Business Finance professor, who said that fundamentals don't even come into play for tech giants right now. He said that interview with Bloomberg Television that aired on Tuesday. Sir, I don't know what is IG tech companies. What is IG tech? If you can clarify, sir. So basically, he's saying that if the tech company's price comes down, they are worth buying. Am I right? I don't know whether tech prices are going to come down or not. So I think that's a debatable. And I don't buy that logic that fundamentally don't come into play. And I have huge respect for Ashwath Damodaran, one of the finest guy in terms of valuation. We all know the story of Zomato. Do Google search. I think fundamental matters whether we like it or not. It may not matter in a short run, but it does matter in a long run. So if your companies are not going to grow, no company can sustain rich valuation. And classical example, Intel, while on one hand, we know what happens to NVIDIA price, and on the other hand, we know what happens to the Intel price. And if you look at this graph for last 5 years between Intel and NVIDIA, you'll see a sharp contrast coming in. So my sense is that fundamentals do come into play. I don't think I will subscribe to that view. I have not listened to that interview, so I don't know which context he made a statement. Very difficult to make a statement. I do believe it's only fundamental that matters in the market in a medium to long run. In short term, market can afford to ignore fundamentals, but not for long. Mayur is saying, kindly advise Nifty level for next 3 to 6 months outlook. Also in the 19,000 level still valid? No, sir, I've clarified many times. 19,000 level doesn't look like it's going to happen in the month in the 2024. So I think that's ruled out the possibility. I don't think that's going to happen. My sense is that it's very difficult to predict what would happen in 3 to 6 months, because why? There are a lot of events that can line up. How FOMC behave, how Trump behaves, how budget comes out, what it contains, so on and so forth. So never ever invest biology in the market with 3 to 6 months outlook. Invest with 3 years, and I strongly believe India would do extremely well. Indian equity market would do extremely well in a block of 3 years. So 3 to 6 months, I don't think it matters also. It doesn't matter if I say it's a bullish, it doesn't matter if I say it's a bearish. Why? Because what would you do with that? See, remember, the Mayurji, the market is so beautiful for wealth creation over a longer. Understand the power of compounding, and somewhere we are becoming too myopic in our thought process. Okay, we want to know what's happened in 3 months, what happens in 1 month, what happens in 6 months. जो होना है होना जरा क्या फर्क पड़ता है? If you are into right company at the right time, enjoy the power of compounding. You will create a lot of wealth. And assets allocation is a classical tool which people underestimate that. Please focus on assets allocation. And once you do that, don't try to see what happens to Nifty level in 3 months and 6 months. I have never in my life tried to see what can happen to 3 to 6 months and then take a call. Inevitably, you will go wrong. क्यों करना है वो चीज? I hope that answers. Oh, it's big, not IG. Okay. Thanks to, I think I did mention. So big IT companies, Frank, sir, fundamental do matters. I would not be surprised if in 2025 the US indices underperform, despite Trump will assume as a president. I will not be, I think. And there are excesses, there are some rich valuations being commanded. How long they can command, I don't know. That's possible. So I would be surprised, and fundamental do matter, sir. Rama Subramaniam sir, how would the Mr. Trump threat to imposing 100% tariff affect our country and the stock market in general? So first, let me explain you. Trump has not made an announcement that he is going to impose 100% tariff on India. He is not going to do it because remember, US needs India to counterbalance China. They can't afford to spoil relationship with us. And this current dispenser knows very well what are the levers we have to keep Trump under check. So please remember, that's only going to be threat. It's not going to happen ever. And India would be the biggest beneficiary of this tariff as and when that gets imposed. So don't be under the impression that it's negative for India. It's going to be the positive for India, because India would always be get a preference. See, why did not, he did mention about Canada, he mentioned about Mexico. He never uttered a single word against India. Of course, yesterday he talks about BRIC countries in a different context altogether, but that's not the currency that everyone talking about. He did mention about China. He never mentioned about, and I think the equation between India and China, India and US will improve further because Trump and Modi has a very good equation in terms of this. So my sense is that I don't see that's a threat. It's going to remain threat only. I don't think going to happen any kind of 100% tariff to rule out only. Kalpana ji is saying which sectors to invest in, ma'am. I'll tell you. In the first week of January, I'm going to do Equity Outlook 2025. So next month, I'm not going to do Equity Outlook for short term. I'm going to do for full year. And that's where I'll suggest which are the sectors which I personally believe are going to do well. Of course, I'll give my report card also, what I predicted in beginning of 2024 and what happened there. Satish saying, should we exit private railway wagon manufacturing companies? It seems railway story is slowing down. So Satish sir, I think some of the companies within the private railway wagon are doing extremely well, and they should do extremely well. That's what my sense is. So should you exit from them? Be company specific. There is one company which is also a stock of the week. We believe that company should do well. But you are right, railway story has little slowed down, and it's not, I'm making a statement, I told you almost 1 quarter back, because I listened to some of the con call of some of the railway company related company, and they mention they don't see much of a growth happening. On the contrary, they scale down the growth projections also from the railway business. But is it story down and out forever? Answer is no. I think government will spend. Remember, government has a huge capex plan for the railways. They have a huge plan for the to improve the infrastructure. So it's not just a temporary blip. But if you're expecting too much growth from the railway companies in the December quarter, it may not happen. But railway wagon companies are going to do extremely well. I must tell you that, because the government has a huge plan for that. So I think some of this company, and one of our stock of the week company that has been recommended, I think there is a great potential to do well. So be company specific, and if your outlook is medium to long term, I wouldn't recommend a railway story to write it off. What is your outlook on small and mid caps? Gopi sir is saying, I think it looks a little challenging. I think you have to be little stock specific. Overall, mid and small cap can underperform. Indices I'm talking about can underperform going forward. Tahir, very good analysis. Thanks. How will the results of India in Q3? Any sectoral variation is expected? So I did mention, sir, how do we see the Q3? My sense is that we don't expect too much growth in the December quarter also. Purely based on what GST data is coming out, you look at the commentary from the India Inc. and so on and so forth. We don't expect too much growth. So it's a single-digit growth that we expect for the December quarter. And any sector variation expected, of course, there will be sector variation that will happen. I think consumption will definitely be a little slow only. That's what my sense is that. There will be some revival in the capex side. IT companies should do reasonably well despite the furloughs and so on and so forth. Because we all know that the December quarter, we see a lot of furloughs happening because of Christmas vacation. But I think they should do reasonably good job. Even the rupee depreciation should help them to do that. But pharma should do reasonably well. That's what my sense is that. But otherwise, consumption should see some amount of a beating. That's what my sense is in terms of the sector rotation. Banking can do well, but the NBFC will see little tough time. Sorry, I forgot to mention about that. Udar, do you have a data on sector where FI is selling? Are there any sectors where FI is selling increased their stake? So yes, sir, we did presented that data. Maybe what I will do is, sir, this data is available in public domain. So you can also go to NSDL website. It's all available in the public domain. But if you want, maybe on Friday, if I'm able to do webinar, I'll do that, because I most probably, if I'm not traveling, then I'll do that. Because I'm doing one management meeting on Friday. In case if that meeting doesn't fructify, on Friday I'll present the data, which are the sectors where FI basically sold in 1 month, in which are the sectors FPI basically bought. I'll do that data, sir. It's all available in the public domain. अरे मुझे जब भिजवा देना ये this one. Yeah. Vasudevan is saying, I'm sure today also Mr. Frank and Balasundram question will get a place in the webinar. Wondering how many questions will get an answer. Vasudevan sir, please put your question also. We'll be more than happy. Mr. Frank and Balasundram question comes. I don't think. Amir, what is it like? There's an allegation that you will get always question from this. That's what the allegation coming in. So don't worry. We'll be fair to everyone, and everyone question will be picked up. Yeah. Nifty has not performed this year, and returns are around 1%. When can we see recovery in this sector? So Madhusudan sir, I think the complete consumption basket has taken a beating. And if you remember, I did some data analysis where I talked about, I don't know whether I did with you people or with PMS customer. I think we did PMS customer, where I basically shown September numbers divided into agriculture, consumption, services, and so on and so forth. I think there is a challenge on consumption. So somehow the urban demand for consumption has really taken a beating. Rural has been quite done extremely well, and with Kharif crop going well, Rabi crop doing well, this should do well. But there are challenges. So I don't think so FMCG numbers should for the December quarter should come out extremely well. I don't think so. That's going to happen. One good thing happened with them is that input costs have remained a little benign. Even the edible oil price went up because of palm oil. This one has started coming down. So that's one relief that can come. But don't expect too much good numbers from FMCG companies even for the December quarter. And I'll have my view on FMCG sector for 2025 that I'll discuss in the January 2025 webinar. Raj is saying, taking into account the domestic economic rating and the government policy of heavy taxation in the form of high GST rates and recently announced higher capital gain taxes and the add to the pro-GST Trump taking charge, where do you see the Indian stock market heading in the next 1 year? Do you believe that Indian market is milking the Indian taxpayer to the hilt and needs to tone down? So Raj sir, you need my view for next 1 year. Can I request you to hold on for 1 more month? I'm anyway going to do an equity outlook 2025. And there I will discuss in great detail with data how do I see 2000 panning out in terms of macro, in terms of market, in terms of sectors. It will be a complete detailed analysis, as you know I keep doing every year. And of course I will also present what are the hits and misses of my 2024 prediction. सर रिक्वेस्ट 1 महीना रुक जाओ ना सर, मैं आपको दूंगा सब डेटा. Please advise me on aluminum industry and agricultural sector in coming month. Regard Anil sir. So sir, aluminum is a function of what's happened to the China. China is little right now. We all know that China is little finding it difficult to revive its economy. So as long as China is not growing, I don't think non-ferrous metal should do well. And agriculture, I think, should do reasonably well for the very simple reason because the Rabi crop is also likely to be good. Kharif is it's good. So I think that should help agriculture sector in general. And so my sense is that agri should do well. Aluminum may not be so great. Manoj is saying, excellent, lots of respect for you. In the beginning of the you told that this year profit would be difficult. So for investors less than 50 lakh amount, can they follow your model portfolio for wealth creation? Please suggest. Definitely sir, Manoj sir, definitely. If you have less than 50 lakhs, please follow model portfolio, but please make ensure what is your risk profile. See, remember, portfolio approach is the best approach because portfolio approach will keep you in check in terms of sector allocation, will keep you in check in terms of market cap allocation, keep you in check in terms of single company allocation. We did one event very recently and one of the investors came to me and said he invested in one private sector bank. In single stock, the allocation was 60%. Now that bank is not doing well. And because of one company having higher allocation, his complete portfolio has gone for a toss. So model portfolio basically help you to understand which sector, which market cap, and the best part is that which stock to get in and which stock to get out. I think that's the best part. So please do that. Please start model portfolio, but decide what is your risk appetite. You know, I met one customer. He said, I created one model portfolio conservative, one with moderate, one with aggressive. I said, how can that be possible? You are one individual. How can you have 3 risk profile, different risk profile? So please define your risk profile and based on this profile, please create the model portfolio. Do we have questions? Okay, Venkateswara Reddy. If I have a 3 years time object, can we expect 100% return on this one? Definitely you can expect. What is wrong with that? There is nothing wrong with the expectation 100%. But you have to be very careful in terms of what stock you have. It's not practically impossible to have 100% ROI in 3 years. Practically not. It's very much possible, provided which script you get into. Your stock selection has to be of a paramount importance. It's very much possible. If your stock selection is poor, market may go up, you may not make money. And even if the market goes down, if your stock selection is good, you still can make money. So I think, sir, you need to focus on stock selection. If your stock selection is right, 100% is very much possible in 3 years period. Sachin is saying it is far better to get such a valuable data points in your webinar. But I think it will be better, sir, if you could explain how presentation data presenter will affect the market condition with some historical consequences happen, as we don't have enough knowledge of economics as a common people. Please consider it. Definitely, Sachin sir. So what I do when I present the data, I give context to that data. Am I right? So if I give a context to the data, you should be able to. For some reason, if you think I have not been able to give context to the data, please specify. I'll be more than happy to ensure that when next time when I come in front of you, I present that context to in that particular data also. Dulgesh saying, is the jump in Nifty is a short-lived one, or the worst is behind us? Sir, I can tell you, if I have to speak again in front of you in 3 years down the line, in Nifty would be substantially higher than what level it is. And I have seen that every block of 3 years, Nifty is much higher as level as compared to what it was there 3 years back. So my sense is that please don't have a very myopic view on a short term. 3 साल का मुझे बोलोगे तो worst is behind us. If you ask me 1 month, I don't know. Because there are so many events which can impact, on a daily basis. You have no control over that, am I right? But 3 years, I can tell you, we would do extremely well. Indian equity market would do extremely well. Equity would be the best assets class among all competing assets class, including real estate. Bangaria sir, if you are still India is having levers to check. Yes, but economists are saying that India is the lost levers due to indictment of Adani episode. Sir, please help me understand who this economists are. If you read some of the analysis which says that clearly US can't afford to rub India in a wrong manner. Indictment of Adani, we will not hear too much once Trump comes in. Jot down my words. India, and if you look at the story once that has come and then the statement coming in, there is a drastic change that has happened. Please, Bangaria sir, please tell me who are the economists who are saying that India has lost levers because of Adani episode. At least give me 2 or 3 prominent names, which one can take their names with respect. 2-3 नाम दे दीजिए मुझे आप. Jacob Jones, more than rate cut, government must reduce the tax burden on common man by way of GST, income tax, so that he will have spending surplus. We have news, GOM has recommended higher GST on certain items. It has become higher tax, higher freebies, socialist regime where BJP speaks against every election season, but the actions show that exact opposite. Where is the growth going to increase when consumption 61 GDP is falling? How much more falling bridges we keep building in Bihar and hope GDP will grow fast? Your views? So Jacob sir, I fully agree with you. One of the best way to revive economy is to put more money in the hands of the consumer. It could be by lowering tax, that is income tax I am talking about, by lowering GST rate on an item which are very critical for the daily consumption. We need that because otherwise it's very difficult. You give more jobs to the men, to the unemployed people, so that they start earning. If they start earning, they start spending, and when they start spending, it helps the economy. So you are absolutely right that we need to have a very sensible tax. I think you are talking about to raise higher GST on certain. There's a proposal, and I don't know whether the proposal will go through or not. But there's proposal more on a luxury items or more on a sin items. I don't think that's the item that this one. And I really happy that you said higher freebie socialist regime, which BJP speaks against every election. I think freebies has become exactly a little pain points for the because where do you stop and how do you stop that? I think somewhere not only BJP and everyone has to really think through that what is feasible and what is not feasible in terms of freebies, because today there seems to be a race, to give freebies higher than the next political party and so on and so forth. Not only the political party has to become sensible, even the electorate has to become sensible. Okay, what looks very, very good today, is it going to be sustainable going forward or not? So I think we should actually punish as an electorate, because we have a lot of power. Okay, the government that basically gives freebies which are not sustainable and which are going to be the hindrance to the future growth, those political parties should not get elected only. If they don't, because that will send a right message to the next electors के boss तुम कुछ भी freebie दे देगा, people will punish you if you announce something nonsensical. So I think that's a lot of, even that responsibility lies with us as a this one, okay, how much we want to tolerate this freebie culture. And once you give a freebie culture, it's very difficult to take out also. I must tell you that, because you are basically making that person, मुफ्त में मिलेगा कौन काम करने जाएगा, and जब वो काम करने जाएगा तो हो भी नहीं पाएगा उससे. So I think I'm 100% with you, Jacob sir, that we need to do that. What government needs to do, I think I sincerely believe that they announce more fiscal measures in the budget, and I think monetary policy also helps to keep more liquidity in the system to revive the consumption basket. So that's what we need to do. Now we have two levers which has not been fully utilized, the fiscal and the monetary, and I'm very sure that this government is sensible enough to do these levers to do that. See, if you look at the data which I presented of the GDP, it's not that here also we went to 4.3 GDP growth, 5.5. It's not that we have not seen, but I think that the government took the remedial actions to take back the GDP to in excess of 8%. And in 3 quarters in a row, we saw in excess of 8% GDP growth, 8.2, 8.1 and 8.6. So I think I'm pretty sure that in the past we have done that and we came out very successfully to lift the sentiment, lift the growth. So I'm sure this time we'll also see. And I think first Feb is a very critical that we must look forward to. I'm so sure government is taking taken a note of slow economic growth, and they will come out with some fiscal measures to revive the growth. Shyam Sundar sir, आप every time यही पूछते कि we are missing your stock specific expert. I know that conflict of interest due to your association with PMS is a big legal hurdle. Sir, मैं कुछ नहीं कर पाऊँगा, and I think Jason has come back in our webinar. He will be able to take up your stock specific. But sir, Shyam Sundar ji, all the beauty with marketing was that all our recommendations are there on our website with clear cut buy, hold and sell. Why don't you use that as a what we call as a reference point for you to figure it out whether what should be doing with the company specific. So it's all available. Why do we want, again, if I have to, even in the past when I used to always tell it, class score, I would just to repeat that. So I don't think that should be a big hindrance, sir. Allah Udin is saying, is per CNBC interview, cement sector will do in Q3. Is it correct? I don't, so I don't comment on other people's view. That's not my job. My sense is that cement will face some problem. That's what my sense is. One of the biggest consumption comes for the cement from the rural housing. So rural is doing extremely well as we speak. But will it do extremely well? I don't know. My sense is that it will little challenge. Capacities are there, competition is stiff, pricing power is not there. I don't think it will be do extremely well. Vikram is saying, is it the right time to invest at 100% of funds? Of course, yes. Never ever in the lifetime to time the market. The best of the best fund manager has not been able to do that. Like look at Warren Buffett. 1 trillion market cap, 310 billion sitting on cash. Timing the market is extremely difficult. No one has been able to. Why do we want to do that? See, problem with us is that we are too much myopic in our this one. And we want to, and that's again I said, the Vijay Kidia, which is a very nice statement. It talks a lot of sensible things. I have two regrets in life. The regret number one is that I buy the company or I enter the equity market and market goes down by 10 to 15%. Second regret is I don't buy only and market goes up. He said I prefer to live with the regret number one. I want everyone remove that fear. What happens if I buy and script goes or market goes down? If I hua tha, it is always bounce back, na? As long as your view is long term, what is the problem? The problem happens when you have we become short term. Then it becomes a challenge. So my request to all of you, please live with that regret number one. That if I buy, the script can go down. No one in the world has been able to buy always at the bottom of the price. But आप सोच रहे हो विक्रम जी कि you will be able to buy always at the bottom of the price. One time you could be lucky, two times you could be lucky, third time could be extremely lucky. It's not going to happen every time. Take it for granted. Take it I'm saying no investor has been consistently able to buy at the bottom and consistently able to sell at the top of the price. That applies the market cycle also, that applies with the scripts also. So don't think that you will be able to do consistently. Please invest 100%. If at all you have fear, put in a tranches, but please remain 100%. Then be disciplined. When I डाला है 2 महीने के बाद कुछ एजेस पे what happens to the market, I'm going to put it. Discipline is the one thing which no investor should underestimate the power of discipline. अमित क्वेश्चन नहीं है कि टाइम हो गया इसके लिए ले लो ना यार, एग्जिटिव में बहुत कम आता हूँ इन लोग के पास. I want to appreciate you and your webinar proceedings and forethought in studying the market sentiment based on the both political and financial development of our country in particular and globally in general. I have become a big fan of your webinar and hardly do miss any of them. Thanks a lot, sir, Vishwanath ji. In the recent times, it's seen that on one hand, FIs have been the major seller. On the other hand, DIs have been major buyers. Can it be predicted now that FIs participation in any given stock can be one of the important factors before selection of specific stock is made? That can be the one way to look at it. That cannot be the only way, Vishwanath ji. Had it been so simple, you don't need the fund manager, right? See, DI also makes mistakes. It's not that they. But yes, look at institution, because what does it indicate? When you look at the DI participation, what does it? Because company has been well researched. A lot of due diligence has been done. If that has been done, probability of you going wrong goes down. It's only probability going down. There could be a misses. And many times we have seen that DI increasing stake in the company and script fallen substantially. It has happened in many cases also. But yes, it's a good factor to look at it, but should not be the only factor to make the investment decision. 5 क्वेश्चन और ले लेते हैं अमिल, प्लीज. आई नो यू नीड टू लीव ऑल्सो, बट ले लेते हैं. कैप्टन संजय गुप्ता सर से, इज इट पॉसिबल टू शेयर द परफॉर्मेंस मोजो पीएमएस? डेफिनेटली सर, वी कैन शेयर इट. प्लीज मुझे ईमेल कर दीजिए सर का. विल डेफिनेटली शेयर इट टू यू सर. डेफिनेटली वी शेयर इट. वी कैन शेयर इट टू यू. Suresh Joshua sir, you are saying aluminum will not do well, but today I got advice for a buy in aluminum stock in my moderate portfolio. Again, it's a stock specific company. That company that you got it in this, we know why it has been come. Am I right? That company is a buy on our system. That's why it has come as a part in this one. I know which company you are referring to. I cannot name the company. Please go ahead and buy, Suresh sir. Emergency martial implemented in South Korea, Sri Ram is saying. Sir, I'm not aware about that. If that has happened, why it has happened, I don't know, sir. Is there any specific reason, or is it because of geopolitical situation that has happened? I don't know. I need to really study and then comment on that. So, are you making a statement or are you asking me a question based on that, sir? Sri Ram, sir. To saying, is this stop loss is this the stop loss is for long-term investor? I said the question is not very clear, but whatever I understood, Tushar sir, are you saying long-term investors के लिए stop loss होना चाहिए? Sir, I always say you should buy a company not because of its price movement. You buy a company because of its fundamental story. If the fundamental story is good or improving, keep buying more of that company. If the fundamental story is not that great, please move out of that company immediately, whether it's a profit or loss. So reason to get out of the company should never be the real function of profit or loss. The reason to get out of the company is a change in the story of that company. If the story remains strong, there could be price movement. यार कोई company ऊपर थोड़ी ऐसे जाती है straight line में. There will be aberrations and up and down. But the story remains strong. Please remain invested in that company. So I said, reason to book profit or reason to book losses should not be the function of price movement. It's a function of your reason why you got into the company. Has it undergone change or not? I do own companies in my portfolio for 10 years. It's not that companies have always gone up. Many times it has gone down also. You hold on to that company and you make money. One classical example I must tell you, because it's there in the public domain, so I'm giving you that answer. Vatek Vabak. We recommended as one of the stock of I stand corrected, Diwali portfolio. At that time I used to give company specific. After it, from one Diwali to next Diwali, it did not work. Vatek Vabak. Many investors, I said, it's a story remains good. The company is not perform. Continue to hold. If my memory serves me, that company is already up by 400% from the purchase price. Forget about this one. So again, story is more important than the price movement. And I think I want to harp on this point because many times our emotions are so good. Somewhere, we are getting, I think somewhere you need to understand the difference between the price and the value. Both are different. It may sound very similar to you. The price and value are two different. You should always seek for the value. And value is a function of growth story. Price is a function of market movement and sentiment. As long as the value is there in the company, please remain invested. The moment the value is not there, I met someone, I can tell you one thing, okay? I happened to meet one guy. He said, I invested in one hospital company. I don't want to name it. Because I bought this company because its script went down by 50%, बोलता 50% गिरा ले लिया मैंने उसको. He's a chartered accountant. I said, if that's the only way you want to invest in the market, I'm afraid you making money goes down. Probability of you making money goes down. Why the script fell by 50%? First, you should find out. Is there a change in the fundamental story of that company? Is that hospital that you invested in, is it expanding, not expanding? What is it? So, वो सब मैंने नहीं देखा. 50% नीचे गया मैंने ले लिया. So that's why I want to harp on that point, value and the price. Yeah, move on to next question. Helian is saying, is it possible to have webinar on hedging so we can save portfolio value? Sir, I don't do any hedging. I'm not an expert on hedging. If you ask me to do an expert who doesn't do hedging, I'm not expert. So there is no reason I should be doing that and pitching you something which I'm not expert in. Am I right? I have never done in my personal portfolio hedging. Hedging does come with the cost. My advice would be, if a long-term investor, don't do any hedging. Will market start similar service for US equities as it currently does for Indian equities? Sir, we do have a similar service for US equity also. Go to markets on the website, select country as a US, and you would be able to do that. Of course, it comes with a different subscription charges, but it's available, sir, as we speak. I'll ask someone to send you the link for that, to subscribe that. Last question, Amir, I know you said done for the day, but let's call. Another question, Amir? Sorry. Implication on democracy in Asia region and impact on FII fund flows. Make in India country market allocation. Sriram sir, implication on democracy in India, Asia region and its impact on FII fund flows. So you are saying democracy and FII fund flow has an impact, correlation? Definitely yes. Make in India and country specific market allocation? Definitely. So if I've understood your question, Sriram sir, FII will always prefer a country which is democratic, where there are no restrictions imposed by the regulator how much you can buy and when you cannot exit. We have seen that happening in some of the countries, am I right? They also look at the regulator, corporate governance standard in the country specific to allocate this, and of course the growth. Other day I was making some presentations to a few investors. The return on equity of India is the highest for 2025 projections amongst all other emerging economies in the world. So, as a country-specific market allocation, what someone would look at it? Growth in the economy, good standard of corporate governance, single stock dominating the index or not, the regulator there, how they are, and the stability, political stability in that particular country. There are many countries which are they are democratic only on the paper, but in true sense they are not democratic country. The leaders do get elected, but then how much you take that democracy at the election at the face value. Here in India, everyone has the rights to criticize any party. You can even criticize the Prime Minister, President of this country, so and so forth without any implications. So I think that's the kind of democracy that we all live in. We have a very strong opposition party, okay, which can take on this one. We have a complete federal structure where we have different various states government run by various different political party, and so forth. So that does matter in terms of the allocations. So in the interest of the time, we will conclude with this last question from Sriram sir. Thanks a lot everyone taking time out. Those who are PMS customer, I'm going to present our report card because it's the first Thursday of the month on day after tomorrow on 5th December. Please do come and attend that webinar if you are a PMS customer. Most probably I will do a webinar, one more webinar this weekend on Friday with Q&A and Swendamal if I'm not traveling outside Bombay. With this, good night, take care.